Life is draining out of Gaza. That statement from the United Nations aid chief, Martin Griffiths, sums up the situation in the Palestinian enclave. Israel has caused the kind of destruction in Gaza that we have been seeing. And just when things could not get any worse, the worst single tragedy took place today. We woke up to horrific scenes coming out of Gaza. Yesterday, that is the 29th of February, marks a horrific turning point in the Gaza war. Hundreds of Palestinians, starved and devastated by the war, were killed in indiscriminate firing. What prompted this violent action? What did they do to deserve this? Well, it seems their crime was that they were hungry. Hundreds of Palestinians were killed because a crowd of hungry and desperate civilians had gathered around a food aid truck that had come to Gaza City.
We went to get food and flour and they started shooting us. Then we threw ourselves into the streets and no one looked for us. Eventually people brought us here. There are martyrs lying around and no one is looking for them. Some need first aid, but there is no one available. Al-Shifa is full of injured and martyrs, and there are no medics. They brought us to Kamal Adwan Hospital because there was no one to help us.
The deaths occurred amid scenes of chaos on Harun al-Rashid Street in western Gaza City. A convoy of at least 18 food trucks had arrived around 4:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the UAE had sent this. Crowds of hungry Palestinians swarmed around the newly arrived 8 trucks in the hope of getting food. And eyewitnesses say that chaos followed, and they say that Israeli forces started shooting. In fact, eyewitnesses say that the 8 trucks tried to escape the area, even accidentally ramming others and causing further deaths and injuries. And then ambulances struggled to reach those in need. Rubble blocked the way. Majority of the casualties occurred as a result of people being rammed by trucks trying to escape Israeli fire. Wounded and killed Palestinians were transported to multiple hospitals in northern Gaza, including Al-Shifa Hospital, Kamal Adwan Hospital and Al-Ahli Arab Hospital. Don't forget this, hospitals in northern Gaza have sustained extensive damage as well and are now barely functioning due to shortage of fuel and supplies. And according to Israeli military, a stampede took place when thousands of Gazans surrounded a convoy of 38 aid trucks. Israel said that it led to dozens of deaths and injuries, including some people being run over. According to reports, Israeli troops opened fire on the crowd, believing it posed a threat.
My understanding this far, and this is unfolding, as I say, and developing, my understanding thus far is that humanitarian aid vehicles entered the Gaza Strip and were overwhelmed by people attempting to essentially loot, to take that aid from those aid trucks.
Now, we are having a hard time understanding how such a thing really happened. How can hungry, unarmed Palestinians looking for food make Israeli soldiers feel unsafe? The Gaza Health Ministry has condemned what it calls the massacre of the people. They say that 112 people were killed, more than 750 were injured. The death toll in Gaza has passed 30,000. Let me repeat that, 30,000 people. This is already the most destructive assault in the 21st century. The entire world is shocked, naturally. Reactions have been trickling in from various parts. The US called the incident tremendously alarming, with the White House promising to press Israel for answers.
We are urgently seeking additional information on exactly what took place. We have been in touch with the Israeli government since early this morning and understand that an investigation is underway. We will be monitoring that investigation closely and pressing for answers.
Meanwhile, President Joe Biden has said that the incident will surely complicate the delicate ceasefire negotiations.
negotiations? I know will.
Meanwhile, the European Commission decried what it called the carnage. The EU Foreign Affairs Chief, Josep Borrell, denounced the deaths as totally unacceptable. He said on the platform X, formerly Twitter, and I'm quoting, "I'm horrified by the news of yet another carnage among civilians in Gaza desperate for humanitarian aid." France has called the Israeli fire unjustifiable. The French President Emmanuel Macron expressed his strongest condemnation of the killings. The French Foreign Ministry decried how the tragic event came at a time when increasing an unbearable number of Palestinian civilians were suffering from hunger and disease. Paris pressed Israel to abide by international law and protect aid deliveries to civilians. And Turkey also condemned the incident as crime against humanity. The Turkish Foreign Ministry said, and I'm quoting, "The fact that Israel this time targets innocent civilians in a queue for humanitarian aid is evidence that Israel aims consciously and collectively to destroy the Palestinian people." Condemnation poured in from as far as South America. Colombia scrapped Israel arms purchases. The president denounced what he called a genocide of the Palestinian people and suspended purchases of weapons from Israel, which is, by the way, a key supplier of his country's security forces. Spain, Italy, Australia, China, Qatar, Saudi Arabia expressed horror, demanding urgent ceasefire. Already, more than 500,000 people in Gaza are on the brink of famine. The UN saying that at least 576,000 people across Gaza are facing catastrophic levels of deprivation and starvation. Today, food aid is required by almost the entire population of Gaza. It's seeing the worst level of child malnutrition anywhere in the world. Aid has been running so low that when it is available, it has often prompted panic. And this horrific incident also came at a very critical time. Negotiations between Israel and Hamas on a deal to pause the fighting and allow humanitarian aid has reached a potentially pivotal point. The killing of people collecting aid from trucks could seriously jeopardize the ongoing talks. And that really is the question. How many more have to die before peace actually arrives? WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.